The conflict in eastern Ukraine has intensified this week, with at least half a dozen soldiers killed. And amidst the turmoil, there remains uncertainty about what will happen between Ukraine and Russia, its neighbour to the east. Otago University's Professor of International Relations, Robert Patman, joins us to help explain what's going on. Good evening.
Good evening, Rebecca.
Tell us what's happened in the Ukraine this week.
This week it's been quite a dramatic week. First of all, there was what the West described as illegal referendums held in the eastern part of Ukraine by pro-Russian separatists, and they conducted a referendum which produced a resounding result, which is that the people who voted wanted either separation from the rest of Ukraine or, in fact, unification with Russia. So that was one thing. And the second thing, as you alluded to in your opening remarks, 6 Ukrainian soldiers were ambushed in the last 24 hours by pro-Russian separatists who are heavily armed, and they were killed. So the tension, and this is just a series of incidents occurring. The Ukrainian government is pledged, as it put it, to carry out an anti-terrorist operation and try to remove these people who are occupying buildings. But these people who are occupying buildings, these pro-Russian activists, many of whom are from the Ukraine, are heavily armed and are going to be very difficult to dislodge. But it's potentially a very difficult situation which has all the risks of escalation.
Are we likely to see more fatalities?
We could in the next few days, but there is one positive development occurring. The OSCE, the Organisation for Security and Cooperation in Europe, is convening a roundtable discussion between representatives of the interim government and also some representatives of the pro-Russian activists in the eastern part of the country. Now, there's going to be a bit of what I call manoeuvring, who recognises whom, as part and parcel of the preliminaries to these talks, but the talks are beginning tomorrow, and the fact they're beginning to talk about the future of Ukraine. One of the items on the agenda, which is crucial, is decentralisation. Both sides agree there should be more decentralisation in Ukraine. But how much is the sticking point? The pro-Russian activists in the east want to see federalisation, and that is something the government in Kiev doesn't want, because it believes with federalisation of Ukraine that would effectively undermine the unity of the country.
Where does Russia stand with the US and the rest of the world at present?
Well, the relationship, of course, has deteriorated markedly in the last few months since the annexation of Crimea, and now the developments in eastern Ukraine, of which Russia has been supportive of the pro-Russian activists. There is the signs in the last week or so that Mr. Putin may be reassessing the situation. Up until recently, he's been against the presidential elections which are scheduled for Ukraine on the 25th of May. He now says this is a step in the right direction. But at the moment, I think it's fair to say the relationship between the United States and the Western world generally and Russia is very tense. And indeed, the Western countries have applied sanctions. Europe and the United States have applied sanctions against Russia.
Professor of International Relations, Robert Patman. Sorry, that's all we have time for, but thanks for coming in.
Thank you.